Okay.
Oh boy. William Burbidge had the Curtain Theater.
Oh, right on the tip of my tongue. Yeah.
Yeah. He and his son became the very famous actor of all of the Shakespearean players. And
Richard. It seems I remember a Richard Burbidge.
That's it. That's it. Richard Burbidge. All the plays when they moved to the Globe.
He's got his own parking space, right?
Bones, and the only thing they found was that he had acute scoliosis. They talk about a shriveled hand in this script, but he did not have that. I think it's fascinating. There, welcome. He's here. This is Eli, everybody.
How's it going?
Hey, aloha, Eli.
He's in England too, by the way. Like we were over, and he's like, "Hey, do you know anything about your last name?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You should research it." And then he tells me about Richard Burbidge and the Globe Theater, and I'm like,
In 1576, William Burbidge was the senior member of a new theater that was built called the Curtain. And when it was necessary in 1599, they had to move the Globe, had to move the Curtain lumber across the Thames Theater, across the Thames River, and rebuild the theater approximately where it is today. A man named Peter Street, I love that name, who rebuilt, took the lumber from the Curtain, rebuilt the theater, and called it the Globe. What would life be without Shakespeare?
nice.
Pentameter. All right. I don't know. Is everybody here or what?
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you to our performance this evening of Richard III by William Shakespeare. Opening scene, Act 1, Scene 1, London, a street. Enter Gloucester, Solus.
Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by the sun of York, and all the clouds that lord upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern alarms changed to merry meeting, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now, instead of mourning barbed steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasing of a lute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an armorous looking glass, I, that am rudely stamped and want love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling nymph, I, that am curtailed of this fair proportion, cheated of features by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, set before my time into this breathing world scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I halt by them, why I, in this weak piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to spy my shadow in the sun, and descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover, I entertain these fair, well-spoken days. I am determined to prove a villain, and hate the idea of pleasures of these days. Plots have I laid, inductions dangerous by drunken prophecies, libels and dreams to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate, the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, this day should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says that G of Edward's heirs, the murderer shall be. Drive thoughts down to my soul. Oh, here Clarence comes. Brother, good day. What means this armed guard that waits upon your grace?
His Majesty, hindering my person's safety, hath appointed this conduct to convey me to the Tower.
Oh, upon what cause?
Because my name is George.
Oh, alack, my lord, that fault is none of yours. He should for that commit your godfathers, or belike his Majesty hath some intent that you shall be new christened in the Tower. But what's the matter, Clarence? May I know?
Yea, Richard, when I know, for I protest as yet I do not. But as I can learn, he hearkens after prophecies and dreams. From the crossroad plex the letter G. It says a wizard told him that G has issue disinherited should be. And for my name of George, it begins with G. It follows in his thought that I am he. These, as I learn, and such like poesies, have moved his highness to commit me now.
Why, this is it. When men are ruled by women, 'tis not the king that sends you to the Tower. My Lady Grey, his wife, Clarence, 'tis she that tempers him to this extremity. Was it not she and that good man of worship, Anthony Woodville, her brother there, that made him send Lord Hastings to the Tower, from whence this present day he is delivered? We are not safe, Clarence, we are not safe.
By heaven, I think there's no man as secure but the Queen's kindred, night-walking heralds that trudge betwixt the king and Mistress Shore. Heard you not what an humble suppliant Lord Hastings was to her for his delivery?
Humbly complaining to her deity, got my Lord Chamberlain his liberty. I'll tell you what, I think it is our way, if we will keep in favor with the king, to be her man and wear her livery, the jealous o'erworn widow and herself, since that our brothers dubbed them gentlewoman and mighty gossip in this monarchy.
I beseech your graces both to pardon me. His Majesty hath straitly given in charge that no man shall have private conference of what degree soever with his brother.
Even so, and please your Majesty Brackenbury, you may partake of anything we say. We speak no treason, man. We say the king is wise and virtuous, and his noble queen, well struck in years, fair and not jealous. We say that Shore's wife hath a pretty foot, a cherry lip, oh, a bonny eye, a passing pleasing tongue, and that the queen's kindred are made gentlefolks. How you say, sir? Can you deny all this?
With this, my lord, myself have naught to do.
Naught to do with Mistress Shore? I tell thee, fellow, he that doth not with her, excepting one, were best he do it secretly alone.
What one, my lord?
Her husband, knave. Wouldest thou betray me?
I beseech your grace to pardon me, and withal forbear your conference with the noble duke.
We know thy charge, Brackenbury, and will obey.
We are the queen's abjects and must obey. Brother, farewell. I will unto the king, and whatsoever you will employ me in, were it to call King Edward's widow's sister, I will perform it to enfranchise you. Meantime, this deep disgrace in brotherhood touches me deeper than you can imagine.
I know it pleases neither of us well.
Well, your imprisonment shall not be long. Meantime, have patience.
I must perforce. Farewell.
Go, tread the path that thou shalt ne'er return. Oh, simple plain Clarence, oh, I do love thee so, that I will shortly send thy soul to heaven, if heaven will take the present at our hands. Oh, but who comes here? The new delivered Hastings.
This time of day unto my gracious lord.
As much unto my good Lord Chamberlain. Well, are you welcome in the open air? How hath your lordship brooked imprisonment?
With patience, noble lord, as prisoners must. But I shall live, my lord, to give thanks that were the cause of my imprisonment.
No doubt, no doubt. And so shall Clarence too. For they that were your enemies are his, and have prevailed as much on him as you.
More pity that the eagle should be mewed while kites and buzzards pray at liberty.
Yeah, what news abroad?
No news so bad abroad as this at home. The king is sickly, weak, and melancholy, and his physicians fear him mightily.
Now, by St. Paul, this news is bad indeed. Oh, he hath kept an evil diet long, and overmuch consumed his royal person. 'Tis very grievous to be thought upon. What? Is he in his bed?
He is.
Go you before, and I will follow you. He cannot live, I hope, and must not die, till George be packed with post-horse up to heaven. I'll in to urge his hatred more to Clarence, with lies well steeled, with weighty arguments, and if I fall not into my deep intent, Clarence hath not another day to live. Well, which done, God take King Edward to his mercy, and leave the world for me to bustle in, for then I'll marry Warwick's youngest daughter. With what though I kill her husband and her father? The readiness way to make the wench attend is to become her husband and her father. The which will I, not all so much for love as for another secret close intent, by marrying her, which I must reach unto, but yet I run before my horse to market. Clarence still breathes, Edward still lives and reigns. When they are gone, then must I count my days.
Scene 2, the same. Another street. Enter the corpse of King Henry VI. Gentlemen with halberds to guard it. Lady Anne being the mourner.
Set down your honorable load, if honor may be shrouded in a hearse, while I also while obsequiously lament the untimely fall of virtuous Lancaster. Poor key-cold figure of a holy king, pale ashes of the house of Lancaster. Thou bloodless remnant of the royal blood, be it lawful that I invoke thy ghost to hear the lamentations of poor Anne, wife to thy Edward, to thy slaughtered son, stabbed by this self-same hand that made these wounds. Lo, in those windows that let forth thy life, I pour the helpless balm of my poor eyes. Oh, cursed be the hand that made these holes, cursed the heart that hired the heart to do it. Curse the blood that let his blood from hence. More direful hath betide that wretched wench, that makes us wretched by the death of thee, that I can wish to adders, spiders, toads, or the creeping venom thing that lives, if ever he have child, abortive be it, prodigious and untimely brought to light, whose ugly and unnatural aspect may fright the hopeful mother at the view, and that be heir to his unhappiness. If ever he have wife, let her be made more miserable by the death of him, than I am made by my young lord and thee. Come now towards Chertsey with your holy load, taken from Paul's to be interred there, and still as you are weary of the weight, rest you, whilst I lament King Henry's course.
Stay, you that bear the course, and set it down.
What black magician conjures up this fiend to stop devoted charitable deeds?
Villains, set down the course, or by St. Paul, I'll make a course of him that disobeys.
My lord, stand back and let the coffin pass.
Unmannered dog, stand thou when I command. Advance thy halberd higher than thy breast, or by St. Paul, I'll strike thee to my foot and spurn it upon thee, beggar, for thy boldness.
What? Do you tremble? Are you all afraid? Alas, I blame you not, for you are mortal, and mortal eyes cannot endure the devil. Avaunt, thou dreadful minister of hell, thou hast but power over his mortal body. His soul thou canst not have, therefore be gone.
Sweet lady, for charity, be not so cursed.
Foul devil, for God's sake hence, and trouble us not. For thou hast made the unhappy earth thy hell, filled it with cursing cries, and deep exclaims. If thou's delight to view thy heinous deeds, behold this pattern of thy butcheries. O gentlemen, see, dead Henry's wounds open their congealed mouths and bleed afresh. Blush, thou lump of foul deformity, for 'tis thy presence that exhales his blood from cold and empty veins, where no blood dwells. Thou deed, inhumane and unnatural, provokes this deluge most unnatural. O God, which this blood madest, revenge his death. O earth, which this blood drinkst, revenge his death. Either heaven with lightning strike the murderer dead, or earth gape open wide and eat him quick, as thou dost swallow up this good king's blood, which his hell-governed arm hath butchered.
Lady, you know no rules of charity, which render good for bad, blessings for curses.
Villain, thou knowst by no law of God nor man, no beast so fierce but knows some touch of pity.
But I know none, and therefore am no beast.
Oh, wonderful, when devils tell the truth.
Oh, more wonderful when angels are so angry. Vouchsafe divine perfection of a woman of these supposed evils to give me leave by circumstance, but to acquit myself.
Vouchsafe diffuse infection of a man for these known evils, but to give me leave by circumstance to curse thy cursed self.
Fairer than tongues can name thee, let me have some patient leisure to excuse myself.
Fouler than heart can make thee, thou canst make no excuse current but to hang thyself.
Oh, by such despair I should accuse myself.
And by despairing shouldst thou stand excused for doing worthy vengeance on thyself, that didst unworthy slaughter upon others.
Say that I slew them not?
Why then they are not dead, but dead they are, and devilish slave by thee.
I did not kill your husband.
Why then he is alive.
Nay, he is dead and slain by Edward's hand.
In thou foul throat thou liest. Queen Margaret saw thy murderous falchion smoking in his blood, the which thou once did bend against her breast, but that thy brothers beat aside the point.
I was provoked by her slanderous tongue, which laid their guilt upon my guiltless shoulders.
Thou wast provoked by thy bloody mind, that never dreamt on aught but butcheries. Didst thou not kill this king?
I grant you.
Dost grant me, hedgehog then? God grant me too, thou mayest be damned for that wicked deed. Oh, he was gentle, mild, and virtuous.
The fitter for the King of Heaven that hath him.
He is in heaven, where thou shalt never come.
Oh, let him thank me, that helped to send him thither, for he was fitter for that place than earth.
And thou unfit for any place but hell.
Yes, one place else, if you will hear me name it.
Some dungeon.
Your bedchamber.
I'll rest beside the chamber where thou liest.
So will it, madam, till I lie with you.
I hope so.
I know so. But, gentle Lady Anne, to leave this keen encounter of our wits, and fall somewhere into a slower method, is not the cause of the timeless deaths of these Plantagenets, Henry and Edward, as blameful as the executioner?
Thou wast the cause and most accursed effect.
Your beauty was the cause of that effect. Your beauty, which did haunt me in my sleep, to undertake the death of all the world, so I might live 1 hour in your sweet bosom.
If I thought that, I'd tell thee homicide. These nails should rend that beauty from my cheeks.
These eyes could never endure sweet beauty's wreck. You should not blemish it. If I stood by, as all the world is cheered by the sun, so I by that. It is my day, my life.
Black night o'ershade the day, and death thy life.
Curse not thyself, fair creature, thou art both.
I would I were to be revenged on thee.
Oh, it is a quarrel most unnatural to be revenged on him that loveth you.
It is a quarrel just and reasonable to be revenged on him that killed my husband.
He that bereft thee, lady, of thy husband, did it to help thee to better husband.
His better doth not breathe upon the earth.
Oh, he lives that loves thee better than he could.
Name him.
Plantagenet.
Why, that was he.
The self-same name, but one of better nature.
Where is he?
Here. Why dost thou spit on me?
Would it were mortal poison for thy sake.
Never came poison from so sweet a place.
Never hung poison on a fouler toad. Get out of my sight. Thou dost infect mine eyes.
Oh, thine eyes, sweet lady, have infected mine.
Would they were basilisks to strike thee dead.
Oh, I would they were, that I might die at once, for now they kill me with a living death. Those eyes of thine from mine have drawn salt tears. Shame their aspect would store childish drops. These eyes that never shed remorseful tears. No! When my father York and Edward wept, to hear the piteous moans that Rutland made when black-faced Clifford shook his sword at him, nor when the warlike father, like a child, told the sad story of my father's death, and 20 times made pause to sob and weep, that all the standers-bys had wet their cheeks like trees bedashed with rain, and that same time my manly eyes did scorn and humble tear. And what these sorrows could not thence inhale, thy beauty hath, and made them blind with weeping. I never sued to friend nor enemy. My tongue could never learn sweet smoothing words, but now thy beauty is proposed my fee. My proud heart sues and prompts my tongue to speak. Teach not thy lips such scorn, for they were made for kissing, lady, not for such contempt. If thy revengeful heart cannot forgive, lo, here I lend thee this sharp-pointed sword, which, if thou please to hide in this true bosom, and let the soul forth then adoreth thee, I lay it naked to thy deadly stroke, and humbly beg the death upon my knee. Nay, do not pause, for I did kill King Henry, but 'twas thy beauty that provoked me. Nay, now dispatch, 'twas I that stabbed young Edward. but 'twas thy heavenly face that sent me on. Take up the sword again, or take up me.
Arise, dissembler, though I wish thy death, I will not be thy executioner.
Then bid me kill myself, and I will do it.
I have already.
Oh, tush, that was in thy rage. Speak it again. And even with the word, that hand which for thy love did kill thy love, shall for thy love kill a far truer love. To both their deaths, that shall be accessory.
I would I knew thy heart.
Oh, 'tis figured in my tongue.
I fear me both are false.
Then never man was true.
Well, well, put up your sword.
Say, then my peace is made?
Thou shalt know hereafter.
But shall I live in hope?
All men, I hope, live so.
Vouchsafe to wear this ring.
To take is not to give.
Look how this ring encompasses finger. Even so thy breast enclose my poor heart. Wear both of them, for both of them are thine. And if thy poor devoted suppliant may but beg one favor at the gracious hand, thou dost confirm this happens forever.
What is it?
That it would please thee leave these sad designs to him that hath more cause to be a mourner, and presently repair to Crosby Place, where, after I have solemnly interred at Chertsey's monastery this noble king, and wet his grave with my repentant tears, I will, with all expedient duty, see you. For divers unknown reasons, I beseech you, grant me this boon.
With all my heart, and much it joys me too to see you are become so penitent. Tressel and Berkeley, go along with me.
Bid me farewell.
'Tis more than you deserve, but since you teach me how to flatter you, imagine I have said farewell already.
Sir, take up the course.
Towards Chertsey, noble lord?
No, to Whitefriars. There attend my coning. Was ever woman in this humor wooed? Was ever woman in this humor won? I'll have her. But I will not keep her long. What? I that killed her husband and her father, to take her in her heart's extremest hate, with curses in her mouth, tears in her eyes, the bleeding witness of her hatred by, having God and her conscience, and these bars against me? And I nothing to back my suit at all, but the plain devil and dissembling looks, and yet to win her, all the world to nothing. She forgot already that brave Prince Edward, her lord, whom I, some 3 months since, stabbed in my angry mood at Tewkesbury. Oh, a sweeter and a lovelier gentleman, framed in the prodigality of nature, young, valiant, wise, and no doubt right royal, that spacious world cannot again afford. And will she yet debase her eyes on me, that cropped the golden prime of this sweet prince, and made her widow to a woeful bed? Oh me, whose all not equals Edward's moiety? On me, that halt and am unshapen thus, my dukedom to a beggarly denier. I do mistake my person all this while. Upon my life, she finds, although I cannot, myself to be a marvelous proper man. I'll be at charges for a looking glass, and entertain some score or two of tailors to study fashion and adorn my body, since I am crept in favor with myself, will maintain it with some little cost. But first, I'll turn your fellow in his grave, and then return lamenting to my love. Shine out, fair sun, till I have bought a glass, that I may see my shadow as I pass.
Scene 3, the palace. Enter Queen Elizabeth, Rivers, and Grey.
Have patience, madam. There is no doubt His Majesty will soon recover his accustomed health.
In that you brooked in, it makes him worse. Therefore, for God's sake, entertain good comfort and cheer his grace with quick and merry words.
If he were dead, what would betide of me?
No other harm but loss of such a lord.
The loss of such a lord includes all harms.
The heavens have blessed you with a goodly son to be your comforter when he is gone.
Ah, he is young, and his minority is put into the trust of Richard Gloucester, a man that loves me not, nor none of you.
It is concluded that he shall be protected.
It is determined, not concluded yet. But so it must be, if the king miscarry.
Here come the lords of Buckingham and Derby.
Good time of day unto your royal grace.
God make your majesty joyful as you have been.
The Countess Richmond, good my lord of Derby, to your good prayer will scarcely say amen. Yes, Derby, notwithstanding she's your wife, and loves me not. Assured, I hate not you for your proud arrogance.
I do beseech you, either not believe the envious slanders of her false accusers, or if she be accused in true report, bear with her weakness, which I think proceeds from wayward sickness, and no grounded malice.
Saw you the king today, my lord Derby?
But now the Duke of Buckingham and I are come from visiting his majesty.
What likelihood of his amendment, lords?
Madam, good hope, his grace speaks cheerfully.
God grant him health. Did you confer with him?
Madam, we did. He desires to make atonement betwixt the Duke of Gloucester and your brother, and betwixt them and my Lord Chamberlain, and sent to warn them by his royal presence.
Would all were well, but that will never be. I fear our happiness is at the height.
They do me wrong, and I will not endure it. Or they that complain unto the king, that I forsooth am stern and love them not. By holy Paul, they love his grace but lightly, that fills his ears with such dissentious rumors, because I cannot flatter and speak fair, smile in men's faces, smooth, deceive, and calm, duck with French nods and apish courtesies. I must be held a rancorous enemy. Cannot a plain man live and think no harm? But thus his simple truth must be abused by silken, sly, insinuating jacks.
To whom in all this presence speaks, your grace?
To thee, that hath not honesty nor grace. Where have I injured thee? When done thee wrong? Or thee, or any of your faction? Plague upon you all, his royal person, whom God preserves better than you would wish, cannot be quite scarce a breathing while, but you must trouble him with lewd complaints.
Brother of Gloucester, you mistake the matter. The king of his own royal disposition, and not provoked by any suitor else, aiming belike at your interior hatred, that in your outward action shows itself against my children, brothers, and myself, makes him to send that thereby he may gather the ground of your ill will, and so remove it.
I cannot tell. The world has grown so bad that wrens may prey where eagles dare not perch. Since every jack becomes a gentleman, there's many a gentle person made a jack.
Come, we know your meaning, Brother Gloucester. You envy my advancement and my friends. God grant we never may have need of you.
Meantime, God grants that we have need of you. Your brother is in prison by your means. Myself disgraced, and the nobility held in contempt, whilst many fair promotions are daily given to ennoble those that scarce some 2 days since were worth a noble.
By him that raised me to this careful height, from that contented hap which I enjoyed, I never did incense his majesty against the Duke of Clarence, but have been an earnest advocate to plead for him. My lord, you do me shameful injury, falsely to draw me in these vile suspects.
You may deny that you were not the cause of my Lord Hastings' late imprisonment.
She may, my lord, for...
She may, Lord Rivers. Why? Who knows not so? She may do more, sir, than denying that. She may help you to many fair preferments, and then deny her aiding hand therein, and lay those honors on your high deserts, which may she not, she may, yea, marry,
What?
Yea, maybe she.
Mary. What? What? Mary, may she?
What? Marry may she? Marry with a king, a bachelor, a handsome stripling too. I wish your grandam had a worser match.
My lord of Gloucester, I have been too long born. Your blunt upbraidings and your bitter scoffs. By heaven, I will acquaint his majesty with those gross taunts I often have endured. I had rather be a country servant maid than a great queen with this condition, to be so baited, scorned, and stormed at. Small joy have I in being England's queen.
And lesson be that small, God, I beseech him. Thy honor, state, and seat is due to me.
What? Threat you me with telling of the king? Tell him and spare not. Look, what I have said I will avouch in presence of the king. I dare adventure to be sent to the Tower. 'Tis time to speak. My pains are quite forgot.
Oh, devil, I do remember them too well. Thou would kill this my husband Henry in the Tower, and Edward, my poor son, at Tewkesbury.
Ere you were queen, yea, or your husband king, I was a pack horse in his great affairs, a weeder out of his proud adversaries, the liberal rewarder of his friends. To royalize his blood, I spilt mine own.
Aye, and much better blood than his or thine.
In all which time you and your husband Grey were factious for the house of Lancaster, and Rivers, so were you. Was not your husband in Margaret's battle at St. Albans slain? Let me put in your mind, if you forget, what you have been ere now and what you are, with all what I have been and what I am.
A murderous villain, and so still thou art.
For Clarence did forsake his father Warwick, yea, and forswore himself, which Jesu pardon,
Which God revenge.
to fight on Edward's party for the crown. And for his meed, poor lord, he is mewed up. I would to God my heart were flint like Edward's, or Edward soft and pitiful like mine. I am too childish, foolish for this world.
I thee to hell for shame, and leave this world. Thou condemn, there thy kingdom is.
My lord Gloucester, in those busy days which here you urge to prove us enemies, we followed then our lord, our lawful king. So should we you, if you should be our king.
If I should be, I had rather be a peddler. Far be it from my heart to thought of it.
As little joy, my lord, as you suppose you should enjoy, were you this country's king. As little joy may you suppose in me that I enjoy, being the queen thereof.
As little joy enjoys the queen thereof, for I am she, and altogether joyless. I can no longer hold my patience. Hear me, you whirling pirates that fall out in sharing that which you have held from me. Which of you trembles not that looks on me? If not that I am queen, you bow like subjects, yet that by your depose you quake like rebels. Ah, gentle villain, do not turn away.
Foul, wrinkled witch, what makest thou in my sight?
But repetition of what thou hast marred, that will I make before I let thee go.
Wert thou not banished on pain of death?
I was, but I do find more pain in banishment than death can yield me here by my abode. A husband and a son thou owest to me, and thou a kingdom, all of you alliance. This sorrow that I have by right is yours, and all the pleasures you usurp are mine.
The curse my noble father laid on thee, when thou didst crown his warlike brows with paper, with thy scorns drewest rivers from his eyes, and then, to dry them, gavest the Duke a clout, steeped in the faultless blood of pretty Rutland. His curses then from bitterness of soul, denounced against thee, and are all fallen upon thee, and God, not we, hath plagued thy bloody deed.
So just as God to right the innocent.
Oh, 'twas the foulest deed to slay that babe, most merciless that ever was heard of.
Tyrants themselves wept when it was reported.
No man but prophesied a revenge for it.
Northumberland, then present, wept to see it.
What were you snarling all before I came, ready to catch each other by the throats, and turn you all your hatred now on me? Did York's dread course prevail so much with heaven? The Henry's death, my lovely Edward's death, their kingdom's loss, my woeful banishment, should all but answer for that peevish brat? Can our curses pierce the clouds and enter heaven? Why then give away dull clouds to my quick courses? Though not by war, by surfeit, die your king, as ours by murder to make him a king. Edward thy son, that now is Prince of Wales. For Edward our son, that was Prince of Wales, die in his youth by like untimely violence. Thyself a queen, for me that was a queen. Outlive thy glory like my wretched self. Long mayst thou live to wail thy children's death, and see another, as I see thee now, decked in thy rights, as thou art stalled in mine. Long die thy happy days before thy death, and after many lengthened hours of grief, die neither mother, wife, nor England's queen. Rivers and Dorset you were standers by, and so what thou, Lord Hastings, when my son was stabbed with bloody daggers? God, I pray him that none of you may live his natural age, but by some unlooked accident cut off.
Have done thy charm, thy hateful withered hag,
and live out thee, stray dog, for thou shalt hear me, if heaven have any grievous plague in store, exceeding those that I can wish upon thee. Oh, let them keep it till thy sins be ripe, and then hurl down their indignation on thee, the troubler of the poor world's peace. The worms of conscience still be now thy soul, thy friends suspect for traitors while thou livest, and take deep traitors for thou dearest friends. No sleep close up that deadly eye of thine, unless it be while some tormenting dream affrights thee with a hell of ugly devils, thou evilish marked of abortive rooting hog, thou that wast sealed in thy nativity, the slave of nature and the son of hell, thou slander of thy heavy mother's womb, thou loathed issue of thy father's loins, thou rag of honor, thou detested
Margaret.
Richard,
Ha!
I call thee not.
I cry thee merely then, for I had thought that thou hadst called me all these bitter names.
Why, so I did, but looked for no reply. Oh, let me make the period to my curse.
'Tis done by me, and ends in Margaret.
Thus have you breathed your curse against yourself.
Poor painted queen, vain flourish of my fortune, why stewest thou sugar on that bottled spider, whose deadly web ensnared thee about? Fool, thou whettest a knife to kill thyself. The day will come that thou shalt wish for me to help thee curse this poisonous bunch-hacked toad.
False boding woman, end thy frantic curse, lest to thy harm thou move our patience.
Foul shame upon you! You have all moved mine.
Were you well served, you would be taught your duty.
To serve me well, you all should do me duty. Teach me to be your queen, and you my subjects. Oh, serve me well, and teach yourselves that duty.
Dispute not with her, she is a lunatic.
Peace, Master Marcus. You are malapert. Your fire new stamp of honor is scarce current. Oh, that your young nobility could judge that 'twere to lose it and be miserable. They that stand high have many blasts to shake them, and if they fall, they dash themselves to pieces.
Good counsel, Mary. Learn it, Marquess.
It touches you, my lord, as much as me.
Yea, and much more. But I was born so high. Our eyrie buildeth in the cedar top, and dallies with the wind and scorns the sun.
And turns the sun to shade. Alas, witness my son, now in the shade of death, whose bright outshining beams thy cloudy breath hath in eternal darkness folded up. Your eyrie buildeth up in our eyrie's nest. O God that seest it, do not suffer it, as it is one with blood, lost be it so.
Have done, for shame, if not for charity.
Urge neither charity or shame to me. Uncharitably with me have you dealt, and shamefully my hopes by you are butchered. My charity is outrage, life my shame, and in that shame still live my sorrow's rage.
Have done, have done.
O princely Buckingham, I will kiss thy hand in sign of liege and enmity with thee. Now fair befall thee and thy noble house. Thy garments are not spotted with our blood, nor thou within the compass of my curse.
Nor no one here, for curses never pass the lips of those that breathe them in the air.
I will not think, but they ascend the sky, and there awake God's gentle sleeping peace. O Buckingham, take heed of yonder dog. Look, when he founds he bites, and when he bites, his venom tooth will wreckle to the earth death. Have not to do with him, be aware of him. Sin, death, and hell have set their marks on him, and all their ministers attend on him.
Well, what does she say, my lord? What does she say, my Lord of Buckingham?
Nothing that I respect, my gracious lord.
What dost thou scorn me for my gentle counsel? And soothe the devil that I warn thee from. Oh, but remember that another day, when he shall split thy very heart with sorrow, and say poor Margaret was a prophetess. Live each of you the subjects of his hate, and he to yours, and all of you to God's.
Hair doth stand on end to hear her curses.
And so doth mine. I muse to why she's at liberty.
You know, I cannot blame her, by God's holy mother. She hath had too much wrong, and I repent my part thereof that I have done to her.
I never did her any to my knowledge.
But you have all the vantage of her wrong. I was too hot to do somebody good. That is too cold in thinking of it now. Mary, as for Clarence, he is well repaid. He is franked up to fatting for his pains. God pardon them that are the cause of it.
A virtuous and Christian-like conclusion, to pray for them that have done scathe us.
So do I ever, being well advised. For had I cursed now, I had cursed myself.
Madam, his majesty doth call for you, and for your grace, and yours, and my gracious lords.
Gatsby, I come. Lords, will you go with me?
Madam, we will attend your grace.
I do the wrong, and first begin to brawl, the secret mischiefs that I set to broach. I lay unto the grievous charge of others. Clarence, who I indeed have laid in darkness. I do beweep to many simple gulls, namely to Hastings, Derby, Buckingham, and say it is the Queen and her allies that stir the king against the Duke, my brother. Now, they believe it, and withal wet me to be revenged on Rivers, Vaughan, Bray. But Then I sigh, and with a piece of scripture, tell them that God bids us do good for evil. And thus I clothe my naked villainy with odd ends stolen out of Holy Writ, and seem a saint when most I play the devil. But stop! Here comes my executioner. How now, my hardy, stout, resolved mates? Are you now going to dispatch this deed?
We are, my lord, and come to have this warrant that we may be admitted where he is.
Well thought upon. I have it here about me. When you have done, repair to Crosby Place, but sirs, be sudden in the execution. Withal, obdurate, do not hear him plead, for Clarence is well spoken, and perhaps may move your hearts to pity him if you mark him.
Tush! Fear not, my lord. We will not stand to prate. Talkers are no good doers. Be assured we come to use our hands and not our tongues.
Your eyes drop millstones where fools' eyes drop tears. I like you, lads. About your business straight. Go.
We will, my noble lord.
Scene 4, London, the Tower. Enter Clarence and Brackenbury.
Why looks your grace so heavily today?
Oh, I've passed a miserable night, so full of ugly sights, of ghastly dreams that as I am a Christian faithful man, would not spend another such a night, though 'twere to buy a world of happy days, of full of dismal terrors the time.
What was your dream? I long to hear you tell it.
Methoughts that I had broken from the tower, was embarked across to Burgundy, and in my company my brother Gloucester, who from my cabin tempted me to walk upon the hatches. Thence we looked toward England, and sighted up 1,000 fearful times during the wars of York and Lancaster that had befallen us. As we paced along upon the giddy footing of the hatches, methought that Gloucester stumbled, and in falling struck me that thought to stay him overboard into the tumbling billows of the main. Lord, methought, what pain it was to drown! What dreadful noise of waters in my ears! Ugly sights of death within mine eyes! Methought I saw 1,000 fearful wrecks, 10,000 men that fishes gnawed upon, wedges of gold, great anchors, heaps of pearl, inestimable stones, unvalued jewels, all scattered in the bottom of the sea. Some lay in dead men's skulls, and in those holes where eyes did once inhabit, there were crept, as 'twere in scorn of eyes, reflecting gems, which wooed the slimy bottom of the deep, and mocked the dead bones that lay scattered by.
Had you leisure in the time of death to gaze upon the secrets of the deep?
Methought I had, and often did I strive to yield the ghost. But still the envious flood kept in my soul, would not let it forth to seek the empty, vast, and wandering air, but smothered it within my panting bulk, which almost burst to belch it in the sea.
Awakened you not with this sore agony?
Oh no, my dream was lengthened after life. Oh, then began the tempest to my soul. Passed methought the melancholy flood with that grim ferryman which poets write of, to the kingdom of perpetual night. The first that there did greet my stranger soul was my great father-in-law, renowned Warwick, who cried aloud, "What scourge for perjury can this dark monarchy afford false Clarence?" And so he vanished. Then came, wandering by a shadow like an angel, with bright hair, dabbled in blood, and he squeaked out aloud, "Clarence is come! false, fleeting, perjured Clarence that stabbed me in the field by Tewkesbury. Seize on him, Furies, take him to your torments. With that, methoughts a legion of foul fiends environed me about, howled in my ears such hideous cries that with the very noise I trembled waked, and for a season after could not believe that I was in hell. Such terrible impression made the dream.
No marvel, my lord, though it affrighted you. I promise I am afraid to hear you tell it.
Oh, Brackenbury, I've done those things, which now bear evidence against my soul. For Edward's sake, and see how he requites me. Oh, God, if my deep prayers cannot appease thee, but thou wilt be avenged on my misdeeds, yet execute thy wrath in me alone. Oh, spare my guiltless wife and my poor children. I pray thee, gentle keeper, stay by me. My soul is heavy, and I fain would sleep.
I will, my lord. God give your grace good rest. Sorrow breaks seasons and reposing hours, makes the night morning, and the noontide night. Princes have but their tides for their glories, an outward honor for an inward toil, and for the unfelt imagination, they often feel a world of restless cares, so that betwixt their tides and low names, there's nothing differs but the outward fame. Ho! Ho! Who's here? In God's name, what are you? How come you hither? I would speak with Clarence. I came hither on my legs. Yea? Are you so brief?
Oh, sir, it is better to be brief than tedious. Show him our commission. Talk no more.
I am, in this, commanded to deliver the noble Duke of Clarence to your hands. I will not reason what is meant thereby, because I will be guiltless of the meaning. Here are the keys. Here sits the Duke asleep. I'll to the king and signify to him that thus I have resigned my charge to you. Do so. It is a point of wisdom, fare you well.
What, shall we stab him as he sleeps?
No. He will say it's done cowardly when he wakes.
When he wakes? Why, fool, shall we never wake till the judgment day?
Why? Then he will say we stabbed him sleeping.
The urging of that word, judgment, hath bred a king of remorse, a kind of remorse in me.
What? Art thou afraid?
Not to kill him, having a warrant for it, but to be damned for killing him, from which no warrant can defend us.
I thought thou hadst been resolute.
So am I, to let him live.
Back to the Duke of Gloucester. Tell him so.
I pray thee stay a while. I hope my holy humor will change. 'Twas wont to hold me, but while one would tell 20.
How dost thou feel thyself now?
Faith, some certain dregs of conscience are yet within me.
Remember our reward when the deed is done.
Zounds, he dies. I forgot the reward.
Where is thy conscience now?
In the Duke of Gloucester's purse.
So when he opens his purse to give us our reward, thus conscience flies out.
Let it go. There's few or none will entertain it.
How if it come to thee again?
I'll not meddle with it. It is a dangerous thing. It makes a man a coward. A man cannot steal, but it accuseth him. He cannot swear, but it checks him. He cannot lie with his neighbor's wife, but it detects him. 'Tis a blushing, shamefast spirit that mutinies in a man's bosom. It fills one full of obstacles. It made me once restore a purse of gold that I found. It beggars any man that keeps it. It is turned out of all towns and cities for a dangerous thing, and every man that means to live well endeavors to trust himself and to live without it.
Zoons! It is even now at my elbow, persuading me not to kill the Duke.
Take the devil in thy mind, and relive him not. He would insinuate with thee, but to make thee sigh.
Tut, I am strong-framed. He cannot prevail with me. I warn thee.
Spoke like a tall fellow that respects his reputation. Come, shall we go to this gear?
Take him over to the custard with the hilts of thy sword, and then we will chop him in the malsme, but in the next room.
Oh, excellent devise. Make a sop of him.
Hark! He stirs. Shall I strike?
No. First let's reason with him.
Where art thou, keeper? Give me a cup of wine.
You shall have wine enough, my lord. Anon.
In God's name, what art thou?
A man, as are you.
But not, as I am, royal.
Nor you, as we are, loyal.
Thy voice is thunder, but thy looks are humble.
My voice is now the king's, my looks mine own.
How darkly and how deadly dost thou speak? Your eyes do menace me. Why look you pale? Who sent you hither? Wherefore do you come?
To
murder me?
Aye.
You scarcely have the hearts to tell me so. Therefore cannot have the hearts to do it. Wherein, my friends, have I offended you?
Offended us you have not, but the king.
I shall be reconciled to him again.
Ever, my lord. Therefore prepare to die.
Are you called forth from out of a world of men to slay the innocent? What is my offense? Where are the evidence that do accuse me? What lawful quest have given their verdict up unto the frowning judge? Or who pronounced the bitter sentence of poor Clarence' death? Before I be convicted by course of law, to threaten me with death is most unlawful. I charge you, as you hope to have redemption by Christ's dear blood shed for our grievous sins, that you depart and lay no hands on me. The deed you undertake is damnable.
What we will do, we do upon command.
And he that hath commanded is the king.
Erroneous vassal, the great King of kings hath in the tables of his law commanded that thou shalt do no murder. And wilt thou then spurn at his edict and fulfill a man's? Take heed, for he holds vengeance in his hands to hurl upon their heads that break his law.
And that same vengeance doth he hurl on thee, for false forswearing and for murder too. Thou didst receive the holy sacrament to fight in the quarrel of the house of Lancaster.
And, like a traitor to the name of God, didst break that vow, and with thy treacherous blade unrippest it the bowels of thy sovereign son,
whom thou wert sworn to cherish and defend.
How canst thou urge God's dreadful law to us, when thou hast broke it in so dear degree?
Alas! For whose sake did I that ill deed? For Edward, for my brother, for his sake. Why, sirs, he sent you not to murder me for this, for in this sin he is as deep as I. If God will be revenged for this deed, oh, no, you yet. He doth it publicly. Take not the quarrel from his powerful arm. He needs no indirect nor lawless course to cut off those that have offended him.
Who made thee then a bloody minister, when gallant springing brave Plantagenet, that princely novice, was struck dead by thee?
My brothers love the devil and my rage.
Thy brother's love, our duty, and thy fault provoke us hither now to slaughter thee.
Oh, if you love my brother, hate not me. I am his brother, and I love him well. If he be hired for me, go back again, and I will send you to my brother Gloucester, who shall reward you better for my life than Edward will for tidings of my death.
You are deceived. Your brother Gloucester hates you.
Oh no, he loves me, and he holds me dear. Go you to him from me.
So we will.
Tell him, when that our princely father York blessed his 3 sons with his victorious arm and charged us from his soul to love each other, he little thought of this divided friendship. Bid Gloucester think of this, and he will weep.
Aye, millstones, as be lessened us to weep.
Oh, do not slander him, for he is kind.
Right, as snow in harvest, thou deceivest thyself. 'Tis he that sent us hither now to slaughter thee.
It cannot be, for when I parted with him, he hugged me in his arms and swore with sobs that he would labor my delivery.
Why, so he doth. Now he delivers thee from this world's thraldom to the joys of heaven.
Make peace with God, for you must die, my lord.
Hast thou that holy feeling in thy soul to counsel me to make peace with God? And art thou yet to thy own soul so blind? Thou wilt war with God by murdering me. I, sirs, consider, he that set you on to this deed will hate you for the deed.
What shall we do?
Relent and save your souls.
Relent? 'Tis cowardly and womanish.
Not to relent is beastly, savage, devilish. Which of you, if you were a prince's son, being pent from liberty as I am now, if 2 such murderers as yourselves came to you, would not entreat for life? My friend, I spy some pity in thy looks. Oh, thine eye be not a flatterer. Come thou on my side and entreat for me, as you would beg, were you in my distress, a begging prince. What beggar pities not?
Look behind you, my lord.
Take that! And that, if all we do, we not do. I'll drown you in this malsome butt within.
A bloody deed and desperately dispatched. How faint, like Pilate, would I wash my hands of the most grievous guilty murder done.
Now, what meanest thou, that thou helpest me not? By heavens, the Duke shall know how slack thou wert.
I would he knew that I saved his brother. Take thou the fee and tell him what I say, for I repent me that the Duke is slain.
So do not I. Go, coward as thou art. Be now must I hide his body in some hole, until the Duke take order for his burial. And when I have my meed, I must away, for this will out, and here I must not stay.
Act 2, Scene 1. Enter King Edward IV, sick, Queen Elizabeth.